Andrew, great seeing you, brother. What is that behind you? Because you got some classic stuff behind you, man, especially the mic.
Oh yeah, that would be a Shure SH 55. That's like known as like the Elvis mic. That's what he used. So it's one of my mics. I own a few different ones, and then up top would be my Roland Blues Cube amp, which is a solid state amp, and it's been my trusty main workhorse amp for the last few years. So yeah, I love that stuff.
How do you find this stuff? I mean, to find as authentic as you can get it to be able to use. Is that really a chore to have to be able to do that to really find good stuff and not be able to get it, plug it in and go doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, well, Rudy, we're living in the golden age of gear. So you've got reissues of vintage stuff. So it's a vintage mic, but it's made in more recent years, right? So maybe if I bought an original, I'd have that problem. But yeah, they keep re-releasing this stuff for fans of classic gear. So you can find these classic microphones, and there you go, man. Yeah, and you can find these classic amps, and of course vinyl. I mean, it's all connected right now. People love vintage stuff. I certainly do. So, and it's in many ways it's better than it was back then because they're manufacturing things a little bit better now. They've kind of learned some of the mistakes, especially guitars. It's crazy. Like the modern like equivalents of some of those vintage guitars, they're actually better now. Like a lot of Gibsons and Gretches and whatnot. So it's a golden age for gear. It certainly is.
I love my old school, man. Now, I'm just curious, did you use any of this stuff recently in Toronto? Because I know you had a show.
Yes, well, the amp I did, yeah, the Roland Blues Cube, and then just underneath it, you can't really see it, is the JC 120, another Roland amp. So I'm very partial to Roland guitar amps. I'm not endorsed by them, so it's just an honest comment. I just love their stuff, but
Hey,
uh,
they need to endorse.
well, hopefully it'll come. But yeah, I mean, it was actually Billy Duffy from The Cult who used the Roland JC 120. So he got me into that. And he would always pair it with like a more overdriven amp. And so that's why I got the Roland Blues Cube, because it's just a very versatile, lightweight workhorse kind of amp. And being solid state, you don't have to worry about fuses or anything like that. And so I usually have that one a little bit dirtier, and I pair it with the JC 120, the jazz chorus, which is it's got that clean chorusy sound, and together it sounds really full, with one being more shimmery and the other being a little bit more dirty. So yeah, we did use that in tandem at the big show at the Elma Combo recently, which sounded awesome, I think.
Yeah, how was that show?
It was just everything I had hoped for, more or less. You build it up in your head so much. This was our release party for the new album, Fairy Tales, and thank you, and I was thinking about it for, a couple years. I was like, I'm gonna do it at the Elma Combo, and we're gonna sell it out, and it's gonna be this epic thing. And we basically did sell it out, so that was good. And we played the full album in its entirety, plus a few of our older fan favorites. So it was great to do that. Yeah, I mean, no gig is without its, minor technical hiccups and all that, but it's live rock and roll. So we had a couple of those, but it was nothing major. And so the bulk of the night was just really, we were in the groove. We felt good. We were in the pocket, and people were, dancing and cheering and having a good time. And we had people enjoying an hour and 15 minutes roughly of our headlining set. Like it's the longest set, one of the longest sets we've ever played. So, but it was a special occasion, so we had to do it.
Now you said the new album is called album or EP. I want to make sure I say it correctly. Album or
Yeah, it's an
EP.
album. It's 10
Okay.
songs.
Okay. So making sure. Fairy Tales. Why that name? Because that really makes it particular. It can mean a lot of different things. What does it mean for you, especially releasing it now at this point in your career?
Yeah, it's a good question. The title stemmed from, firstly, the title track. So I wrote several songs for the record, and then I had to settle on a title. And there was one song, Fairy Tales, that I had written, which seemed to be the most epic of all the songs. And I knew it was going to be the lead single. And I thought, it's a great album title too, and it works with all the songs on the record because I'm talking a lot about love and relationships and heartbreak and, you know, relationships. We talk about a fairy tale relationship, right? We talk about, when it's going well, this is like a fairy tale. When you've broken up with somebody, you can say, well, that was just a fairy tale. You can come at it from all these different standpoints, I suppose. And so I thought, okay, it actually works really well to wrap up all these themes of love that I've got on each song and kind of tie it together. And the album art features this great retro image of this kid on a tricycle and on a 1950s suburban American street, and that worked into it as well when I found this art because I thought, it's the American dream, the 1950s suburbia. That's very much a fairy tale, especially for somebody who didn't grow up in that era like me. It's a fantasy. And, childhood itself is a fairy tale like experience when looking back from adulthood. And then obviously the themes of love and relationships and whatnot, those all tie into it. So it just seemed to be a, great title to talk about everything, I think.
No, it just made me think that 5-year old, whoever he was. I mean, you are right when you say fairy tale because that kid probably ended up in Vietnam. So,
Yeah, honestly, it's interesting when you think about that, right? Who knows, right?
now were you going through something during this time when you were writing this music to create this album?
Yeah, several things, I guess, because the earliest songs were actually written and recorded like way back, like in 2018. So a few of the
Mhm.
tracks on that record were done quite a while ago. So some of the stuff is just about searching for love, trying to find love as a young person. I was 24 at the time when I wrote some of the earliest songs on the record. So a lot of it is about that, finding love as a young person and finding your way in the world a little bit. And yeah, and then some of the others were actually written. Couple were written during a relationship I had a few years ago, and then a good half of the album was written after I went through a breakup mid-pandemic. So it was at the height of the lockdown and stress and chaos and in our world at that time, and I was going through this breakup, and so to kind of like uh, vent out my pain, I ended up writing several songs. And so some of the darkest, most like, on the nose songs about heartbreak that you hear on this record, those would include the title track, Fairy Tales, also Half of Your Heart, and The Box. And somewhat ironically, If Tonight, which is one of the more positive songs about love on the record. I wrote those songs after my breakup, which was kind of mid-pandemic and lockdown. And I ended up going to a rural location alone, and I stayed there for 5 days. And I wrote those songs, and it was just this cathartic experience of putting my feelings into words and music. And they're probably my very favorite songs on the record. I think it's the most real and relatable for a lot of people. And so, yeah, there was a lot of feelings, a lot of personal stuff, but I always try to write songs that are not too much about me or my story, but a way that's relatable to a lot of people. And I think anybody who's gone through anything like that, which who hasn't? I think we can relate to those themes. So it's timeless stuff to write about, and it actually ended up being very applicable to what I was going through in my life. So I wasn't just randomly writing random stuff. It was all very much from the heart.
How has the pandemic and this relationship changed you as a person and as a musician?
So, I mean, in terms of the relationship, I mean that was my first like big relationship, and
Yeah.
and it did help me grow as a person. And you learn stuff about yourself when you go through those experiences. Now, fast forward to where we are now. Now I'm engaged. I've met somebody else, and it all ends up working out, I suppose. So, which speaks to the song that I released in 2022, which is also on the record, one of the singles, Recoil. That song is all about, who cares if you went through heartbreak or a breakup? Just move on, keep trying. Don't get salty about anything. And it's just about staying positive and realizing that there is a future for you out there somewhere. There is love out there for you somewhere, no matter what it is. And it was just a very positive song about, don't back down. And I didn't, and here we are. I've got a beautiful woman in my life now, and we're getting married in August. So, and yeah, thank you. So yeah, I mean, and then you asked about the pandemic, and with the pandemic, I think we're still feeling the effects of that in the Toronto music scene right now, and every music scene probably. But yeah, I mean, I noticed the clubs, the bars, they're not what they used to be. It hasn't quite bounced back fully yet. We're better. We're better. I mean, I'm glad to see shows are happening. Like I said, we had a packed show. You know, we played the Elma combo to a bunch of screaming fans. That felt amazing. And so I'm grateful for those moments, but it's not quite the same as what it was. And you know, I don't know if it will. I got to stay positive. I was going to say I don't know if it ever will be, but like I don't want to believe that. I believe that, you know, things will continue to get better because we've seen it. So we got to be optimistic, and I think we have to keep promoting independent music and local talent, and keep that culture up, because it's going to be a boring, awful world, and this city's just going to continue to get more boring and more corporate if we don't have, you know, these grassroots independent art scenes and music scenes. You know, I mean, that's it's the best. It's the best stuff. So I'm always grateful to be a part of that community, and try to contribute what I can to it. And I think this album and that show was, you know, it was about as much as I could hope to contribute.
Amen to that. Because we are going into the spring summer season, what does that mean for you tour wise, especially with new music out? What's going to happen?
So yeah, we're lucky. We're going back for a third year to Montreal in June to play the F1 Grand Prix Festival. Yeah, thank you. Last year was incredible. We got to open up for the great Sam Roberts band. So we went on right before them, and we got to meet them and chat a bit with Sam, who was very nice. And it was terrific. It's always a great audience out there for that Grand Prix weekend, and it's an amazing stage to play on, the Crescent Street Festival stage. So we're lucky to be doing that again. So we're really looking forward to that. We're going to see if we can get another club date or two out there at the same time, working on that. And yeah, there'll be more Toronto dates, of course, in the spring and summer. So yeah, people can stay tuned for that. And we hope to see a lot of people out at those shows because yeah, the band is on fire right now. We feel really good after that Elmo show. So I think it's gonna be some good stuff coming up for sure.
If Sam is opening, I should say, is performing there again, and you're opening up room, tell him I said hello. Corner him. If you can get like maybe 15 or 20 minutes, he is the perfect person to ask for advice because this guy I've known for like 20 plus years.
Yeah.
I've seen everything he's gone through. Now being a family man, he could give you the best advice, especially as an indie artist and surviving this business. He's the perfect person. So if you get a chance, man, corner him on that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we would take
Just
that advice. Yeah, for sure from
yeah,
him. I mean, the guy's an icon, right? We grew up listening to his music. Like I was 10 when I first heard, you know, Brother Down, right? So yeah, the guy's an icon. Yeah.
definitely. Just curious as we're wrapping this up, because we're heading into the spring summer season, artists tend to like to start recording holiday music now,
Mm.
leading up to getting it ready for the holidays when it shows up. Any chance that you might be doing that or even thinking about it?
Perhaps you've planted the seed, Rudy, because yeah, we haven't done any holiday music yet, but I think that could be next. I mean, we've done an EP, we've done an album, we've done some singles, we've opened up for Sam Roberts and Skydiggers and some cool Canadian acts like that. I mean, maybe the next thing to do is put out a Haven's Christmas single. So I think we could probably do a good one.
Oh, yeah, you guys can definitely do that. In the meantime, please tear up Ontario for us because we need you doing what you do so well. Congratulations on the new album.
Yeah, thank you,
Um,
brother.
just looking forward to everything that you're doing. And you know, this platform is your platform. So whatever is happening in the future, man, let's talk and let's cross fingers, man, that we can talk in November, December, and you do have that holiday single up because I'd love to hear it from you, man.
Cool. Well, like I said, you've planted the seed, Rudy. Yeah, I always respect your input, and so it'll be something I don't forget about. So yeah, hopefully we can reconnect at that time, and we might have something for you. We'll see.
All right, brother, you take care. And thanks again for the interview.
Okay, thanks so much, Rudy. All the best.